Hello and welcome to Celebrating You. And I'm so excited today to introduce to you the fabulous, fantastical artist and comedian, local Brighton boy, Matt Whistler. Welcome to you, Matt.
Thank you. It's nice to finally put a face to the chat.
Yes, well, likewise, you're very handsome.
Well, that's very kind, and I'm loving the bears and the specs. I love your specs. Where did you get those from?
Oh, well, actually, I'll do a plug. I live in Hove, and there's a nice opticians right next to Hove Library called Simon something. I got them from there. I like your specs very much.
Well, yeah, they're just about hanging in there. The last pair I did manage to break. I do seem to go through quite a few pairs, and each sort of breakage is a different story.
Oh, I see. Wow. So tell me about what you do and what led you to be doing what you do.
Well, at the moment, I'm I normally sort of make small indie comedy films with my art world thrown into the mix, and I like to try and get screenings where I can, but all of that's obviously hit a little bit of a brick wall, and so I'm creating pieces of artwork on record sleeves, on vinyl sleeves. Bit of a bizarre story. It's a very typical for Brighton kind of story. For a good number of years now, I've been sort of finding little arty bits on the streets of Brighton and upcycling them or turning them into funky frames for other pieces of artwork. And I like the whole idea of grabbing something and regurgitating it into another, sort of giving just a piece of junk a new identity and trying to turn it into a little bit of artwork. So a few weeks ago, I found a massive bundle of records outside a recycling bin in Brighton, and this was just before lockdown. So I decided to spontaneously start painting on the backs of them because I didn't want to destroy other artists' work, and now I've got myself into creating a huge body of artwork, which has been really good fun. Yeah.
That's exciting. Can we have a look at some?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So that's I don't know if you remember Ronnie Carroll, but 1950s. And so I kept some of the original wording on the record just to preserve, something from that time. And I was running out of materials. So this piece of paint here is the gloopy dried paint at the bottom of my tin pot. And these lids are the lids of the pigment bottles that I've been using, which are all now chopped up. And sometimes faces just appear, and I'll just like to have a bit of spontaneous fun and put things together and see what happens. So that was that one. That's the front cover there. Yeah. So.
That's so cheesy. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Makes me want to boogie really groovily. If you got a groovy little boogie you might want to share with us.
What, within the confines of
kind of like that, just a little or is it just art?
Was it be within that sort of space? It would be more like the sand dance, wouldn't it?
Yeah, go on then.
What is the sand dances? Do you know how to do the sand
dance?
No,
I was just agreeing with you. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's something like that, isn't it?
There you go. That's very good.
Walk like an Egyptian.
Yeah, very nice. And that was a really lovely album cover. That was really great and textured and 3D. And do you have any more? Got any more?
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, don't be long.
And a lot of my pieces are slightly robotic in they're not all robots, but most of them are. Got a bit of an obsession with exploring human spirit versus technology. Are we moving forward? Are we going backwards? What is progress?
What do you
But
think?
yeah,
What does
but
robot think?
yeah, but I try and stay away from the whole sort of male, slightly aggressive-looking robots. I like to for a bit of fun and a bit of quirk. Yeah, just something light and happy. So this is a robot with a slightly Wallace and Gromit mouth, made from bits of cardboard that were one step away from being thrown in the bin. And that's that one.
Gorgeous story. That's a very pretty girl robot.
Oh, that's the back. Let me see. Who is that? I might have to do some research, but that's the back anyway. Yeah.
That's but Daddy Daddy sang bass. Daddy
Yeah.
sang bass. Is that like bluesy?
Presented like a house music video. Yeah. So I so I've done about 200 pieces so far, but it's been really good fun because obviously when you're in lockdown, you know you go through such a range of emotions, and you know it can get very difficult because all of a sudden you've gone from a situation where you've got at least half a clue as to what you want to achieve out of life, and we're all trying to move in the right direction, and all of a sudden all of that's completely brought into question. And especially at the start of lockdown, for me personally, I went through such a range of emotions, and quite a few people on the internet, on social media, sort of said the same thing, that they were having weird dreams and insomnia and heightened emotions and things. And since the beginning of lockdown, that's kind of leveled itself out a bit now, and it's almost like for me personally, I've found some acceptance of what is, in my lifetime, quite an extreme situation to be in, and for lots of people around the world. So with these the artworks, I've been posting them on Facebook and asking anyone that happens to come across the artwork, can they think of an apt title for this art piece? Because there's so much negativity on the internet and confusion, and lots of people are in a sort of a bit of a sort of state of fear and panic as well. So I just wanted to do something that was well, it was good for me because it helps me drive the artwork to see that people are actually taking an interest by suggesting a title for the art piece. And I'd like to think it's good for them as well, because it's just giving anyone with a bit of creative juice something totally different to think about, to stare at a piece of artwork and not get too immersed in discussing or reading about the current state of affairs, which can sort of take over your thoughts. So I suppose it's almost like an anxiety reducing art effort for me and for anyone that wants to get involved, which is, so far, the responses have been phenomenal, and it's really nice to be in a position to be able to do that. So keeping art alive and hopefully bringing a few smiles along the way.
I think that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. I really acknowledge your process and what the lockdown has created for you. And I just love it when creative people, well, I mean, I think everyone's intrinsically creative, but there's some people just like yourself, they'll just see some rubbish that someone's thrown out and then just make some art with it. And then what you've done with it, which is so good, is that you've engaged with people, got people to interact with it. And for me, that's the sign of a good piece of art, when it can just make someone smile, or make someone respond. It can be in any which way, but just to create something to react to, I think is great. I think is great art.
Well, it's thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I mean, it's you know, I've got my own views on the contemporary art world, and you know, there's a certain pressure amongst a certain group of artists to move off in a certain direction with a certain style and achieve certain goals. But I rather amusingly take something of a sort of a market trader's approach to my artwork, which is you know, a little bit of something for everyone. And I don't have a specific style as such. In fact, I actually quite enjoy the fact that my style is, if anything, is just random. You don't quite know what you're going to get from one minute to the next, and that's because I always approach my artwork with a totally blank mind. You know, I'll hang a record up on the pegs over there and take a deep breath, and then just grab any color, and the artwork sort of it just sort of creates itself in a way. Sorry, distracted by your fantastic Superman cup.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's lovely. You're the most unpretentious artist I think I've ever met.
Well, it's someone did put a comment on a few weeks ago. It's been very nice. An art lecture in London, where he lives out in Shoreham now, and he said, "This is your best one so far." And I thought, well, so I sort of took him to task on that, because every now and then I like to have a little bit of a, you know, conversation as well. And you know, he was just talking about the organic style and all this, that, and the other. But for me, I didn't want to feel that I was trying to always create the best piece of artwork, because then that puts you on a certain, you put yourself on a certain psychological pedestal, and you're trying to better yourself and reach, you know, attain a certain level. I didn't want it to be about that, because I think if I was to sort of go off in that direction, then what I'm doing now with sharing and engaging, interacting with people would start to feel like a chore, and I don't want that to happen. So whilst it was a very positive comment, it sort of agitated me slightly as well, because I just thought, well, you know, I'm not trying to create a masterpiece here. You know, there are quite a few people on Facebook that are just totally amused that I can churn the artwork out as quickly as I can, you know, and that's not because I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I just feel incredibly driven and you know, passionate about getting the old pots of paint out and making a bit of a mess and seeing what happens.
I think that's lovely. I love what you said about just that's not your intention, and you don't put that pressure on yourself. You're not, if you'll pardon the pun, framing yourself as an abstract blah-de-da-de artist, right? I love that you're just going with the flow and doing it because that's what you're inspired to do.
Well, what's quite entertaining for me is that I think I've been being compared to about 10 different known artists so far through comments on social networking. And so it's quite entertaining when someone will say, "Oh, this work reminds me of so and so," and "Oh, you're using the same palette as Louis such and such back in the 18th century," and I'm just really just grabbing the paint that happens to sort of be in front of me. You know, I'm a bit blasé, but it's in a way that feels like it's part of the process.
I really think it's great that you're sharing about it, because I really think that many people that watch this are going to now have a go. because
Well, why not?
many
Yeah.
people just have a real block and trauma around they were told at school they couldn't draw or they couldn't do this or they couldn't do that. So it really is just about having a go, and just if you feel guided or inspired to do anything at all, then just have a go, and it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I'm being overly optimistic. I don't know when I say that I do genuinely believe that everyone it has creative juices. It's just not everyone's, tried the right processes to get to that point, or just even gone there mentally on some basic level. It's just if someone might turn around, a friend might turn around and say to me, "Oh, I'm not an artist." Part of me thinks, I wish I could just, shake it out of them, because I know there's definitely something in there somewhere. I think everyone, we're all doodling on a pad when we're chatting on the phone. There's definitely something in there somewhere. It's a good experiment, anyway. I, most of my creativity has been built up over a good number of years, making a good number of mistakes. If that's the way you want to kind of view it. But there's if you do feel compelled to create, but you don't feel like you're there with it, then yeah, try it out as an experiment. Just put a few things in front of you and take a deep breath, grab something, and just use it straight away. And pen and pens, crayons, whatever.
That reminds me of the expression. The expression, I've learned so much from my mistakes, I'm going to do lots more.
Yeah,
I
I think
don't think there's such a thing as perfection or mistakes. I think that's actually such a societal hang up, and
yeah,
it's such a blockage to creativity. And I agree with you. I think everyone's an artist. I think actually the soul or the spirit is the artist.
yeah. I mean, we're getting into deep territory now, but
I know. I just went deep, didn't I? You don't have to.
well, but I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't know if I could elaborate on that one.
Well, I just think you're wonderfully you're just really good at being yourself. You know what? That's really rare.
Well, I I'm generally perceived as an eccentric, but for me, that sort of feels like a slightly convenient description of someone, because I just like to permanently remind myself that it's okay to just sort of be yourself. And I try out different characters in my films and things, and so it's just having a confidence to just feel like you can do what you want to do. But at the same time, we all need to keep our wolf from the door as well. That's quite important. So it's the classic artist clash, in a way: drive and passion versus keeping things afloat.
Oh, okay. Did you say we all need to keep our wool from the door? Is that some sort of
Yeah,
Lancaster expression that I've never heard?
yeah, yeah.
Can you
So
elaborate on that? I,
yeah, well, in an ideal world, I'd love to be a an artist that, I've got these great ideas, but not necessarily realistic to my current situation. So expansive thinking is fantastic, but doesn't always match the reality.
well, I think you've got some lovely work there, and I'll link to your page so that people can see. And are your artworks for sale, or would you be willing to sell them? Because I think people want to buy them.
Well,
They're
I've already
gorgeous and
sold.
framed.
I think I've sold 3 pieces since I've been putting
Amazing.
them up on Facebook. So I'm really happy with that. But again, I'm not really making that my main motive. But obviously, if anyone is genuinely interested, then they can drop me a line. I can.
Well, I just love the I love the humility of that, and I think You're a really great guy. It's been so nice to meet you, and it was fun to talk to you on the phone the other day as well. And
Yes, you too.
maybe show us just a few more before we say goodbye.
Oh, okay. I'll
Got any
just
more?
disappear for a second then.
Yeah.
It's really good fun playing the records whilst I'm creating the art as well.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a recent one, which is pieces of cardboard attached to the front of the record. And then I cut up the paint tubes and stick bits of paint tube on the face as well. That was posted on Facebook with, can you suggest an act title? And for some reason that really caught everyone's imagination, so that was good fun. So it's a good opportunity for me to say thank you as well to everyone for being so great on Facebook. If you see this, then thank you. Big
That's
love to everyone.
absolutely lovely. That's really, really lovely. That was a beautiful piece. It was just a very free-spirited figure there that looked happy and free. And what a lovely, happy and free being you are, and colourful and creative. And I just love what you're doing, Matt.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
very kind. Yeah. I'm just about managing to stay on top of cleaning everything after I've covered it in paint. I think
Wow.
so far we've lost the scissors. So I might need to replace those. But yeah, no, it's good. If there was a pot of paint to dive in, I'd be there. What can I say?
Oh well, I bet you would, and you'd probably come out of David Hockney's famous swimming pool picture with your lovely colourful clothes on. That was me trying to look and sound like I know about art. I don't, but that's a really colourful, lovely photo. That
I need to go away and research that.
don't worry. Um, so thank you so much, and tell us verbally what your Facebook page is, and then I'll also link to it as well, how we can find you.
Well, as far as my way, you just type in on the search bar Matt Whistler, and then you can friend request me that way.
Oh, okay, so it's just on your normal profile page.
Yeah, I don't have a fan page because
Okay.
I stuck with the slightly personal Facebook page.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, and I look forward to
Okay.
actually meeting you when we can.
Yeah, definitely, and keep on keeping on with those amazing your bear creations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. See you soon.
All right, thank you.